Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Universe Season 5 based on novel. So let's start. As the ground shook, several vicious and savage growls echoed out at the same time. Instantly, the entire city began to tremble due to this massive sound wave. Meanwhile, a blood moon was hung up in the sky, while streams of blood-red moonlight poured down and added an additional vicious tinge to that demon horde. On top of the city wall, almost everyone had dashed on top of it. As they stared at that never-ending demon horde outside of the city wall, all of their faces turned extremely grim. Thankfully, most of them were fairly capable. Therefore, even though they were stunned by this sight, they did not panic. Lin Dong also leapt onto the city wall that was closest to his stone hut. As he cast his gaze out of the city wall, a blood-red hue filled his sight, until it eventually extended till the limits of his vision. Those blood-red were formed from countless blood-red ape eyes, while an exceedingly overwhelming vicious aura shot through the sky, causing the blood-red moon to be dyed even more blood-red. It was difficult for one to imagine just how many demonic beasts were gathered outside of the city. Just as Lin Dong was shocked by this demon horde, countless splitting wind sound echoed out from behind him. Then, Mo Ling and the rest quickly dashed behind him. However, when they saw the demon horde flooding towards the city, all of them involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they had ever witnessed such a terrifying demon horde. This is going to be troublesome. This time around, the demon horde is much larger compared to 2 days before. If we are negligent, the city would crumble and countless people would lose their lives. Mo Ling's expression was solemn as he said. Du Yun and Man Shan also nodded their head, while a tinge of shock flashed across their eyes. If this city was destroyed, they would lose their final shield. At that time, even a Nirvana stage practitioner would be endangered if he faced such an overwhelming flood of demons. Brother Lin Dong, what should we do? Mo Ling glanced at Lin Dong and asked for his opinion. Let's observe the situation first. Though it is a huge demon horde, we have quite a lot of men in the city. Therefore, it is not impossible for us to last till daybreak tomorrow. Lin Dong contemplated for a moment before he said, "Yes." When he heard Lin Dong's words, Mo Ling and the rest gently nodded their head. Only Lin Langtian's face was cold, while a venomous tinge occasionally flashed across his eyes. However, he did not speak up. Growl. Just as Lin Dong and the rest finished speaking, a series of earth-shattering growls suddenly erupted from within the demon horde. Then, a series of commotions erupted within the demon horde. Immediately, Lin Dong's attention turned to look at the source of the commotion, before a solemn glint flashed across his eyes. At that spot, he could sense a few exceedingly savage aura. Those auras were far more powerful than ordinary demonic beasts. Based on their estimates, they could even match up to a Nirvana stage practitioner. Lin Dong's pupils gently shrunk, while he waved his sleeves. Immediately, little flame darted out from his sleeves, before it shook its body and transformed into battle mode. It seemed pretty impressive. Right now, even if it fought against an advanced manifestation practitioner, Little Flame would not lose out at all. Therefore, it was of great help to Lin Dong. Everyone, do not panic. Just as Lin Dong summoned Little Flame, on the spire in the middle of the city, several powerful auras suddenly erupted in that spot. Following which, all the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners dashed out before they hovered in mid-air. Meanwhile, their loud roars resonated in everyone's ears. Though this demon horde is massive, as long as everyone here obeys our Sacred Light Empire, we can survive this disaster. An advanced manifestation practitioner pridefully scanned the city before he shouted out. With the Sacred Light Empire guarding this area, we can definitely defeat this demon horde. After the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners spoke, several people immediately responded. Those people had long sided with the Sacred Light Empire, and they were purposely putting up a show in this city. With regards to the dominance of the Sacred Light Empire, several elite practitioners were unhappy with it. However, none of them dared to voice out their objections. In a few days' time, the Sacred Light Empire had already established their dominance. Of course, blood had to be spilled in order for them to do so. 2 days ago, 2 new advanced manifestation practitioner attempted to fight with a peak manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. However, that Sacred Light Empire practitioner only used a single palm attack to instantly slaughter those 2 advanced manifestation practitioner right in front of the city. After that, no one dared to challenge the Sacred Light Empire. After all, the latter's strength far exceeds theirs. When they saw that no one in the city dared to object against them, the elite Sacred Light Empire's practitioners were all grinning with joy. Promptly, they spread themselves out and each took charge of a section of the city, just like they all were all commanding officers. Snort, it's that annoying fellow. Mo Ling stared at a figure that was heading towards them, while his expression gently changed as he chuckled. Lin Dong turned to look only to see that a man dressed in golden robes, who's standing on top of a tower. His face was filled with overwhelming arrogance. After these few days, he believed that they were the overlords of this domain. Therefore, in their opinion, everyone else is a subordinate. Furthermore, Lin Dong knew that the man dressed in golden robes was called Xia Huang. He was also a new advanced manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. Moreover, that man knew manifestation martial arts and he was extremely powerful. In fact, most ordinary advanced manifestation practitioner could hardly match up against him. Therefore, this man was extremely arrogant. Of course, the most important thing was that he had a grudge against Mo Ling and the rest. The incident occurred 2 days ago, when Lin Dong first arrived in the city, and Man Shan was out hunting for information. As he was unable to stand Xia Huang's arrogant attitude, he involuntarily grumbled. However, he never expected Xia Huang to actually hear him. Immediately, he was embarrassed and attacked him and nearly wounded Man Shan. Thankfully, Mo Ling followed behind and managed to halt Xia Huang. However, by doing so, they also offended this Sacred Light Empire practitioner. Therefore, they were subsequently troubled by that fellow. Nonetheless, owing to the formidable strength of the Sacred Light Empire, Mo Ling could only choose to bear with it. Xia Huang stepped on the tower, while a dozen elite practitioners followed behind him. These were the other powerful practitioners that had sided with the Sacred Light Empire. At the same time, he glanced outside of the city, while his eyes were filled with a solemn expression. Master Xia Huang, this is a pretty huge demon horde. If we fought against it, we would surely suffer. Behind Xia Huang, a powerful practitioner was slightly pale as he said. What is there to be afraid of? There are countless elite practitioners in the empire gathered here. Now that the demon horde has arrived, just let them fight against. It does not matter how many casualties they suffer. In fact, after they grow weaker, it would decrease the odds of them standing up against our Sacred Light Empire. In the future, all of them would obediently become our pill slave and donate all their nirvana pills. When he heard his words, Xia Huang chuckled. Master is wise indeed. When he heard how vicious Xia Huang's words were, the other elite practitioners hastily responded respectfully. It seems like the aura in that direction is more vicious than the rest. There must be a few powerful demonic beasts in that demon horde. Xia Huang's eyes swept across the outer regions of the city. Promptly, his attention shifted before he saw Mo Ling and the rest standing on top of the high wall. Immediately, a venomous glint flashed across his eyes. Mo Ling and the rest of you from Great Yang Empire, join the others and guard the northwest city wall. You must stop the demon horde and prevent them from entering the city. Xia Huang's cold shout sounded out in mid-air, before it echoed out in Mo Ling and the rest's ears. Immediately, their expression changed. They naturally felt that the aura stemming the northwest direction of the demon horde was exceedingly powerful. Now that Xia Huang had instructed them to head towards that direction, he was evidently trying to use these demonic beasts to slaughter them. Xia Huang, do you really think that we are your subordinates? Du Yun chuckled. Fools. In this assembly point, my Sacred Light Empire is the overlord. If you dare to object, we will chase you out of the city immediately and throw you into the demon horde and let them devour you. Xia Huang's expression darkened as he shouted out. You bloody bastard, how dare you command us? What do you think you are? Man Shan was extremely outraged. Evidently, he was severely impacted by Xia Huang's words. Be quiet. The Sacred Light Empire is extremely powerful, and it is extremely disadvantageous for us to clash with them. Though Mo Ling's expression was grim, he chose to halt Du Yun and Man Shan, as he softly said. When they heard his words, Du Yun and Man Shan could not grit their teeth in rage. After all, they understood that there were too many powerful practitioners in Sacred Light Empire. Furthermore, they had also recruited several elite practitioners from other empires. Most importantly, that peak manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire was simply too powerful. In fact, he could easily slaughter several advanced manifestation practitioners alone. Based on their current lineup, even if all 5 of them fought against them, they would likely fail. As he stared at her outraged man Shan and the rest, Lin Dong chose to quietly stand aside and he did not speak up. However, a cold tinge flashed across his slightly sunken eyes. That Xie Huang was simply too overbearing. On top of the tower, when Xie Huang saw Mo Ling and the rest quieten down, he raised his eyebrows before he chuckled callously, snort, a pile of useless garbage. What is this great Yang Empire? I have never heard of it before. How dare you attempt to challenge my sacred light empire? Fools. When they heard his words, Mo Ling and the rest's expressions turned exceedingly grim. However, just as rage overwhelmed their hearts, a figure slowly walked out from behind them. Then, his casual words caused their hearts to tremble. That was because they knew that Lin Dong was finally going to make a move. Against such an insolent garbage, patience would not solve the problem, brother Lin Dong. The Mo Ling trio were taken aback when they saw Lin Dong walk out from behind them. Soon after, Mo Ling spoke in a low voice, "The Saint Light Empire's strength is tyrannical. It will likely be very unbeneficial for us to go against them." Although Mo Ling was extremely furious in his heart at the people from the Saint Light Empire, he knew that the latter's strength was indeed overwhelming. If they really clashed against the latter, they would be the ones to lose out. Brother Mo Ling, you've also said before that though it is admittedly needed to be low-key in the ancient battlefield, being too low-key will instead bring about endless trouble. Lin Dong's voice was calm as he replied. Upon hearing this, Mo Ling bitterly laughed. He was not being low-key. With his strength, he knew that he was not weaker than any of the advanced manifestation stage practitioners in the Saint Light Empire, but the number of advanced manifestation stage practitioners the other side had was not just one. More importantly, they even possessed an elite peak manifestation practitioner. He had seen that person act that day, and he was indeed powerful without equal. Even Mo Ling would find it difficult to contend. If put in the Great Yang Empire, every one of these Saint Light Empire practitioners would be top-tier existences. The secret arts they cultivated, their martial arts and even soul treasures they wielded were all rather powerful. The fighting strength of every one of them far surpassed that of same-level practitioners. This point alone was enough to prove that the Saint Light Empire's strength definitely far exceeded the Great Yang Empire. Hence, in the face of the powerful Saint Light Empire, it was not that they were being low-key, but they were simply unable to contend and could only endure in silence. You actually dare to say that I am trash? However, while Mo Ling was bitterly laughing, atop the high tower, Xie Huang's eyes instantly turned dark. He stared daggers at Lin Dong as a shrilly voice sounded out. Looks like you country bumpkins are truly becoming rather ballsy. An initial manifestation stage trash dares to challenge my Saint Light Empire. Good. I coincidentally find all of you rather tough on the eyes. I'll directly kill all of you and hang you on the city walls. Let's see who else dares to be rude to my Saint Light Empire in future. Arrest all of these trash from the Great Yang Empire. As Xie Huang's stern command faded, the dozen or so practitioners behind him maliciously looked towards Lin Dong and his party. Vigorous yuan power undulations slowly spread outwards as their figures swiftly dashed forth, surrounding and trapping Lin Dong and gang. Upon seeing this, the Mo Ling trio's expressions changed. Soon after, they stepped forward and vigilantly watched the situation. Roar. However, just as a fight was about to break out, a world-shaking roar suddenly sounded out outside the city. The ground started to shake as the scarlet-red demonic horde surged forward. Like a bloody wave, they swept towards the city. The sight of 10,000 demonic beasts charging made many people's legs turn to jelly. The demonic horde attack also caused Xie Huang and the rest's expression to change. He looked outside the city before venomously staring at Lin Dong. Brat, looks like you have some good luck now. However, when the demonic horde has been defended, I will make all of you beg for death. As his sinister voice faded, Xie Huang's gaze immediately turned somewhere else as shouts echoed out, ordering all the practitioners to resist the demonic horde. Lin Dong icily gazed at Xie Huang's figure, thick killing intent gushing in his eyes. In his heart, the favorable opinion he had of the Saint Light Empire faded. These fellows were really too disgusting. Brother Lin Dong, let us first defend against the demonic horde. If it is truly no good, we will leave this place as early as possible. Mo Ling softly sighed. Now that they had fallen out with Xie Huang, it would be very difficult to continue on in this place. After taking care of the demonic horde, they would take the opportunity to leave, or else, once the Saint Light Empire intended to deal with them, given their few numbers, it would likely be a disaster. In response to Mo Ling's words, Lin Dong did not comment. The Saint Light Empire was indeed very powerful. A peak manifestation stage, 7 advanced manifestation stage, while the rest were all at the initial manifestation stage. Such a lineup could indeed be considered as overwhelming. Yet, this was an enemy Lin Dong could afford to have. If the Saint Light Empire was not tactful, he did not mind letting a true massacre happen. With these thoughts, a vicious glint flitted across Lin Dong's eyes. His character was originally one that would not offend others if others did not offend him. Yet, since Xia Huang took the initiative to find trouble with Lin Dong, don't blame him for being vicious and merciless. The demonic horde is coming, pay attention. While the vicious light flickered in Lin Dong's eyes, Mo Ling's voice echoed in his ear. Lin Dong turned around and sure enough, the enormous demonic horde was already battering at the city walls. Boom boom. As the demonic horde charged at them, countless vigorous Yuan power attacks instantly erupted from the top of the city walls, directly turning some of the demonic beasts at the front to a bloody pulp. However, although the attacks from the city walls were ferocious, the demonic horde seemed to have no end. In the blink of an eye, demonic beasts smashed into the city walls one after another. The low thudding sounds seemed to slam into everyone's hearts, causing their breathing to become sluggish. Roar! Scarlet-red demonic beasts catapulted up the city wall with astonishing jumping power, opening their huge mouths to reveal the sinister white fangs within as they bit at the people on the city wall. Some demonic beasts had charged up the city wall. Although they were smashed to pulp by numerous attacks in the blink of an eye, the bloody smell that spread outwards instead excited the demonic beasts below, causing them to become even more ferocious. Several demonic beasts also charged up the city wall where Lin Dong and the rest were on. However, the beasts were swiftly killed. Yet, the endless momentum caused their eyebrows to furrow tightly. Bang! Lin Dong caught a demonic beast that was pouncing over with his hand as a force flew out from the center of his palm and directly burst apart the demonic beast's head. Just as he was about to casually throw it away, he suddenly felt an energy undulation. Immediately, a suction force erupted from the center of his palm as a scarlet-red object shot out from the demonic beast's head. Lin Dong caught the scarlet-red object and took a look at it, discovering that it was something similar to a demonic crystal. However, there were traces of fiery red energy within this demonic crystal. The ancient battlefield demonic beast demonic crystal actually contains nirvana energy. When he sensed that sliver of fiery red energy, astonishment flitted across Lin Dong's eyes. No wonder the bodies of the demonic beasts here were as tough as metal. It turns out that they had become stronger after absorbing nirvana energy. Lin Dong grasped the demonic crystal as devouring power erupted from the center of his palm and directly devoured all the nirvana energy contained within, while the demonic crystal turned to dust and scattered. However, Lin Dong felt a little regretful that there was not much nirvana energy inside the demonic crystal and was merely a tiny sliver. Yet, if he devoured 1,000 or 100 demonic crystals at the same time, it would have a rather good effect. To think that these demonic beasts have such a use. After tasting the benefits of the demonic crystal, an excited look involuntarily surfaced in Lin Dong's eyes when he once again lifted his head to look at the scarlet-red demonic horde. At this moment, these ferocious demonic beasts seemed to have become round nirvana pills that were rolling around. If he was able to devour all the demonic beast crystals here, he would be able to produce at least 1,000 nirvana pills. This was a rather enormous figure. One should know that the amount of nirvana pills Lin Dong currently had was only slightly over 1,000. If he could devour these demonic crystals, his hoard of nirvana pills would double. Compared to painstakingly refining them, this was truly a shortcut to obtaining nirvana pills. Truly good stuff. When his thoughts reached this point, Lin Dong's foot pushed off the city wall as his body flew down from the city wall under Mo Ling and the rest's shocked gazes. A resplendent sun exploded from his body, and every time his fist swung, an astonishing yuan power undulation erupted out. Scarlet-red demonic beasts were blown apart one after another by the formidable fist force when they approached the 1-foot radius around his body. Meanwhile, demonic crystals flew out one after another before being swept into Lin Dong's sleeve and instantly devoured, transforming into threads of fiery hot nirvana energy that coursed through Lin Dong's limbs and bones, causing the yuan power in his body to become increasingly concentrated and powerful. The effect of this kind of cultivation during battle was truly delicious. When the crowd atop the city walls saw this scene, several of their expressions changed. This was not the first time they had killed demonic beasts, hence they naturally knew of the nirvana energy within the demonic crystals. Yet, they dare not charge into the demonic horde like Lin Dong. After all, they did not have the devouring ancestral symbol and thus could not instantly refine the demonic crystals, using the nirvana energy within to replenish the energy consumption of the body. Once they ran out of steam within the demonic horde, they would be immediately crushed until even fragments no longer remained. Therefore, they could only greedily watch Lin Dong's outrageous actions. On a high tower, Xie Huang watched Lin Dong display his might, as a sinister look flowed in his eyes, before he muttered in a low voice, "Brat, use all your strength to hunt for demonic crystals. When the demonic horde is over, I will let you understand that rewards of all your hard work will eventually be mine. My Saint Light Empire is the ruler of this gathering point, all if you are merely pill slaves that refine nirvana pills for us." Amidst the scarlet-red wave of demons, a blazing sun ascended. Fist shadows flashed, while several formidable yuan power shockwave erupted forth. Thanks to this formidable strength, even though these demonic beasts were as hard as steel, the instant they made contact, all of them were blown apart when that force entered their bodies. Finally, a blood-red beam shot out from within their flesh, before it flew into that person's sleeve. That figure was naturally Lin Dong. Right now, his aura was several times more powerful than before. Meanwhile, the yuan power undulated on his body strengthened. Evidently, this massacre had really benefited him. Wonderful. Lin Dong waved his fists as he directly blew apart an incoming demonic beasts. Then, he stretched out his arm before it directly swallowed that demonic crystal and transformed into a trace of nirvana chi. As it coursed through his body and he felt the growing yuan power in his body, he felt extremely overjoyed as well. Right now, the entire city wall had descended into a fierce battle. As they faced such a large demonic horde, several of them began to panic. Thankfully, most of them were geniuses from their respective dynasty and thanks to their teamwork, they were actually be able to completely guard the city wall. After all, even though the demonic beasts are venomous, they do not possess humans' intellect. Mo Ling and the two of them were guarding their respective sections of the city wall. Furthermore, while they fought against the demonic beasts, their eyes continuously turned to look at a figure in the middle of the demonic horde. Even though there was a massive wave of demons, that person was just like a boat in the middle of a storm. Regardless of how the storm raged, it would not capsize under any circumstances. Lin Dong is indeed formidable. As they stared at this sight, Mo Ling and the rest had no choice but to admit that Lin Dong was indeed more powerful than them. At the very least, if they dashed right into the wave of demons, they would not be able to last this long without showing any signs of exhaustion. Beside the three of them, Lin Longqian's face was grim as he stared at that figure in the middle of the demonic horde. Meanwhile, his eyes glimmered and no one could tell what he was thinking of. The fight was going on below the city wall. As more of them increasingly got used to the fight, and they enjoyed the benefits from that trace of nirvana chi inside the demonic beast's demonic crystal, some of the highly skilled individuals actually dashed down the city wall. However, they did not jump right into the wave of demons, instead they chose to stuck close to the city wall and kill those demonic beasts in order to obtain their demonic crystals. Due to their fierce resistance, this demonic horde gradually subsided. This fact caused several of them to heave a sigh of relief. At this rate, they should be able to survive. This wave of demons is merely so. Just as a fierce fight was erupting around the city walls, on top of the central spire in the middle of the city, several of them stood upright. Their eyes swept across the entire city wall, just like they were royalty. When they saw that the demonic horde had been halted, one of them callously said. On top of the spire, there were a total of 8 figures. Right now, Xie Huang, who had a grudge with Lin Dong and the rest, were also at this spot. Evidently, there were the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners. Amongst the 8 of them, there was a man dressed in green robes. This man looked extremely handsome. However, his lips were shaped like blades and they led everyone to understand that this man was not kind Buddha. That man stood right in front, and even that arrogant Xie Huang had no choice but to stand behind him. Evidently, this man in green robes was the only peak manifestation practitioner in this area. Right now, for this current demonic horde, they are merely chi creation stage demonic beasts. Soon after, perhaps a manifestation stage demonic beasts will appear. In fact, I can feel that there is an aura within that wave of demons that can match up to a manifestation stage practitioner. The man in green robes glanced at the demonic horde outside of the city, while he casually said. A peak manifestation stage demonic beast is merely so. Based on Senior Lee's ability, as long as it is not a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner, no one can match up against you. Behind that man in green robes, a man smiled as he said. Of course, Senior Lee is a rare talent from Sacred Light Empire that only appears once in 100 years. There is hardly anyone below Nirvana stage that can match up against him. At that time, when that beast dares to show up, Senior will directly slaughter it and obtain its demonic crystal. I believe such a powerful demonic beast's demonic crystal must contain quite a substantial amount of Nirvana chi. Based on Senior Lee's ability, it will not be long before he can break through to Nirvana stage. At that time, we will be able to head deep into the ancient battlefield. At that area, the Nirvana chi contained between heaven and earth is several times richer compared to outside. If we train there, we will be able to make rapid progress. When they heard those flattering words behind him, that man dressed in green robes gently smiled. As he played with a piece of jade in his hand, there was an unconscionable arrogance plastered on his face. Right now, in this focal point, he is the king. That is because strength is everything in this world. Growl. As all of them on top of the spire were chatting, in the middle of the demonic horde, a series of venomous growls suddenly echoed out. Soon after, the crowd saw several gigantic blood-red demonic beasts stomping on the ground before they rammed against the city wall. Within these blood-red demonic beasts, an aura that did not lose out to a manifestation stage practitioner erupted forth, causing several people, who were standing on top of the city wall, to panic. Immediately, all the elite practitioners that were hunting the demonic beasts below the wall quickly returned back to the city walls. Though they could easily kill the rest of the demonic beasts, against these demonic beasts, which were also at manifestation stage, they had to be cautious. These group of manifestation demonic beasts that suddenly appeared naturally drew Lin Dong's attention. However, he did not panic, instead a tinge of delight flowed in his eyes. You guys have came at the right time. I can make use of you guys to attack advanced manifestation stage. Potent Yuan power enveloped Lin Dong's body. Then, he gripped his palm, before his heavenly crocodile bone spear immediately appeared. Meanwhile, an exceedingly formidable aura swept forth. Lin Dong's hand gripped onto his bone spear, while his body directly dashed towards that group of manifestation demonic beasts. As he hovered in mid-air, he waved his bone spear before several spear shadows immediately flashed across the horizon and rained down on those gigantic manifestation demonic beasts. These manifestation demonic beasts were far more sturdy compared to the other demonic beasts. In fact, even if a manifestation practitioner landed a direct punch, it would hardly cause much damage to them. However, though their bodies were sturdy, when they encountered Lin Dong's heavenly crocodile bone spear, they became weak just like tofu. Everywhere his spear shadow flashed by, a manifestation demonic beasts would be directly ripped apart by this bone spear before they collapsed on the ground. This was a complete massacre. Everywhere Lin Dong passed by, his bone shadows flashed by as well. Furthermore, each time around, he would cause streaks of blood to spurt forth, while he continuously absorbed their demonic crystals, that were filled with Nirvana chi, before he instantly devoured and refined them. As he quickly devoured them, the Yuan power in Lin Dong's body grew. Meanwhile, his aura became increasingly powerful. In fact, he even faintly showed signs of breaking through to advanced manifestation stage. On top of the city wall, the crowd stared at that domineering figure in the middle of the wave of demons, while they gasped in shock. After all, none of them could willfully rip through these advanced manifestation demonic beasts. What a great earthly soul treasure. However, the commotion was simply too overwhelming. Therefore, even the figures standing on top of the spire turned to look at it. The man dressed in green robes, who was their leader, gently fiddled his thumbs while he stared curiously at the heavenly crocodile bone spear in Lin Dong's hand before he slowly said, "That fellow is merely at initial manifestation stage. The reason why he is so powerful is all due to that earthly soul treasure in his possession. Senior Lee, only you can bring out the full potential of such a treasure. That country bumpkin does not deserve it." That Xia Huang's expression was grim as he promptly said, "That kid is about to break through to advanced manifestation stage." One of them exclaimed in shock. "Advanced manifestation practitioner is nothing to me. After this wave of demon ends, ask that man to see me. I am quite interested in his heavenly crocodile bone spear. As long as he gives that soul treasure to me, I will personally ensure that he remains safe in the ancient battlefield." That man dressed in green robes gently smiled before he casually said, "Yes." When he heard his words, Xu Huang instantly responded. As he stared at that figure willfully coursing through the wave of demons, a grin involuntarily flashed across his face. What a fool! How dare he brazenly show off his treasure, what a stupid fellow! That bone spear danced, just like a poisonous snake. With an indescribable penetrating aura, it viciously stabbed two advanced manifestation demonic beasts. In fact, their sturdy physical bodies were nothing in front of that bone spear. This sight caused Lin Dong to understand just how vicious his heavenly crocodile bone spear was. Without this spear, he could not massacre these manifestation demonic beasts, just like he was killing chickens. After he killed those two manifestation demonic beasts, the aura in Lin Dong's entire body seemed to have been pushed to its breaking point. In fact, Yuan power was even boiling in his eyes. He could clearly feel that he was merely one small step away from reaching advanced manifestation stage. Growl. However, just as Lin Dong was delighted by this fact, suddenly, at a deep section within the demonic horde, an earth-shattering roar suddenly erupted forth. Then, an extremely massive demonic beast slowly appeared. At the same time, a vicious and savage aura that caused severe people's expression to change dramatically, slowly spread out. When this unique manifestation demonic beast appeared, it immediately transformed into a black lightning before it dashed towards Lin Dong. Evidently, it was extremely outraged after witnessing Lin Dong massacre these demonic beasts. Peak manifestation demonic beast. As they stared at that massive demonic beast, several of them sucked in a breath of cold air. They had never expected that there was actually such a vicious existence amongst the wave of demonic beast. That fellow is truly unfortunate. While some of them were pitying Lin Dong, who was stuck deep within the wave of demons, they also knew that it was not so easy to obtain these demonic crystals. Therefore, it was time for Lin Dong to pay the price. Peak manifestation demonic beast. After Lin Dong directly speared a demonic beast, his eyes also turned to look at that massive incoming demonic beast. However, he did not panic at all, instead a thick delight flowed in his eyes. After all, he knew that if he could successfully obtain that peak manifestation demonic beast's crystal, he would immediately break through to advanced manifestation stage. Part 1 end here.